All right. What's good? What's good, y'all? Get that music off. We done with all that. Welcome to I guess a special edition of the Men Like Us podcast. Um, I know I've been gone for a while, but I only come back when I got something to say, and I got something to say tonight. So y'all know what it is. As always, give me a little bit, give me a little bit to share the stream out there. Let me get it. Let me get it out there so it can germinate and all those good things. So yeah, it's been one heck of a year. It's been one heck of a journey so far this year. But not too much crazy has been going on in my world. I've just been kind of floating around the country, East Coast, Midwest, and the South. Been all over the place. Just finished up a weekend in New Orleans. Absolutely love that city. Could not recommend it anymore. So if you do, I'm sorry, if you do find yourself down there, just enjoy the food. It's the number one food country. I'm sorry, the number one food city in the country for a reason. For a reason, the food is fantastic. Keith Lee was not BSing when he made New Orleans his number one food city. These people know flavor. There is no better food city. So yeah, that's really what it is with New Orleans. I'm in love with the city. I absolutely love it, love it. In fact, I'm planning my family reunion there next year. So we'll be back in the NOLA, hopefully sometime before next summer, but we'll get back there eventually. It has definitely become a favorite weekend escape of mine. Um, and the culture is amazing. For the people that don't know, you definitely want to get over to Frenchman Street. Frenchman Street, that's where the locals go. That's where you're gonna find that good New Orleans, big band jazz music. It's gonna be on Frenchman Street. Then you can't get any really authentic New Orleans sound on Bourbon Street. Outside that one black club that got like it's all cash money and dang it, no limit record, albums, all that junk. So it's what it is. But New Orleans is just a bomb. Anyways, just all right. I filled up some time here because I was waiting on my next guest to get here, but I don't think he's gonna make it. So either way, y'all know what it is. The Men Like Us podcast. This is a podcast for men who are trans attracted by men who are trans attracted. I do have a special guest on today. We typically don't let the ladies on, but today we're going to do it. We are going to do it. So, it's been quite an interesting journey with this whole presidential campaign and all that stuff. Donald Trump has definitely been out there. He has been making headlines. And, now that Kamala Harris is in the race, things have kind of switched up a little bit. But, this topic for tonight really came up out of my men's group. So I do have a men's only group that's just for trans attracted men. It's a safe space for us. We can share our ideas. We can debate things. We can, share our experiences, learn from other people, just get a sense of community. So, and in that group, it started to kind of bubble up that some of the guys were actually Trump supporters. And I'm like, what? No, what? Trump supporters? And, in a sense, I get it. We are all products of our environment. But on the flip side, it just didn't make sense to me. And, I had to make a conscious decision on am I going to create space for people that support Trump, people that vote against the interests, their own interests and the interests of the trans community. So that turned out to be a no. We're not creating space for any of that up in my groups. You can go love Trump somewhere else, but any group that got men like us on it, not playing that game. So with that out the way, I'm gonna bring on my guest because I feel like speaking about these kinds of things, I guess listening to the conversation or listening to the online conversation unfold, I really do think women offer a unique perspective on this. And I'm just ready to bring that into the fold. Now we're also going to talk about some other things, but we're just going to start out by talking about the fellas because it's the show. It's the Men Like Us podcast. So, without further ado, I am bringing to y'all the 2024 B-Tech Woman of the Year, my homegirl, Saya. What's going on?
How you doing? Greetings. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Chris. I'm excited topics to discuss.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I'm gonna just start off, and trust me, I had another panelist here, but he's running behind. But we just had to get going with the show, so we're just gonna launch right into it. Trans attracted men supporting Donald Trump. Why do they say, these are people who say they love trans women, say they support the transgender community. I'm an ally, I'm an advocate, I'm on their side. I love trans women so much, but I'm still going to support Donald Trump, and I think he's going to be the best president for all of us. That's what's happening out there.
I find it to be an interesting phenomenon. So what I am clear is that people are not a monolith. And I am clear that we all come with our personal values that are influenced by our circumstances of life. I am an opinion. But I do find it interesting that there are people out there trying to, especially those that take on title as loving a certain community, missing like the idea that in order to you have to want to see us succeed, you have to want to see us see our children prosper. You have to want to actually be able to imagine yourself in a relationship with us, which means imagining what for your relationship to now be something that can't be discussed in kids' school. Like, it's just, I find it to be so interesting that disconnect that some people have. They love a community and loving maybe certain things about it, but not really getting into the meat of how do I best love community? How do I best ally with this community? How do I best engage with my girlfriend or my loved one or my partner in a way that is just about the surface and then what I can get from
them. And I think there's something that you put in there that I was like, okay, so that's a differentiator. Relationships. There are plenty of guys who show up and, they're here to be with the girls, to be with trans women physically, to just, be with them and enjoy their bodies, whether it's physically or mentally through the screen. There's plenty of men. There are plenty of men who watch transgender porn. Their subscribers are OnlyFans channels. They lust over the girls all day, every day. These girls are their complete sexual fantasy. And then you have the guys who engage with the girls, whether it's through sex work or just transactional sex, I guess. And it's just like, essentially what you're getting is, what I'm seeing is a large disconnect with these gentlemen, where it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to like these women. I'm going to sexually fantasize about these women. I'm going to give them a ton of space in my mind. But on the flip side, I'm going to support candidates who are anti-trans and oppose any good thing for them. And it's really weird because now I'm gonna just speak from my own experience here, because I'm transparent, if not anything, on my own show. I was one of those people. I mean, I used to be one of those guys. I watched a whole lot of transgender porn. I, fantasized about the girls all day, fantasized about, dating one of them and all this other stuff. And just like, I was just all about the girls by night. But by day, my alter ego was out there supporting conservative candidates. I was I even volunteered for candidates that were anti-gay marriage. I voted against gay marriage while, fantasizing and fetishizing trans women. So it was definitely a duality, and it was like, and at the time, it totally made sense to me. It was like, well, this is something I keep secret in my little, in my little cupboard or whatever, and nobody's ever going to know that this is what I like. I'm going to keep it a secret. I'm going to die with this secret. But I'm going to vote what I believe, what I was raised on, what my culture tells me I need to believe in, which for me was a heavily black Christian, heavily Christian, culture. I was in church like 3-4 days a week. I was raised in the church. So we were raised very conservative and very much anti-LGBT. So I just know like there's plenty of guys out there who are it makes sense to them to have this duality to themselves. But I promise you, if you try to live this out in the real world, it ain't gonna work. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of guys, and actually, I'm sorry, there were quite a few guys in my men's group who were like, yeah, I'm open and I want to date the girls. And they had all these opinions and experiences and X, Y, and Z. But then they're supporting Trump. And we're like, yo, this is not something you want to do. If you say you're open, you say you support this community, you can't do both. So, I mean, since we're going to go to the Bible, you can't serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. Either you are going to support the community and vote for candidates that uplift the community and help liberate the community, or you're going to vote for candidates that oppress the community. There is no in between.
I have a question for you, because you are, I think, thank you for being vulnerable in that moment. So minutes before, feeling that duality, right? That you had to be one way while having this lust, this desire, this interest, this intrigue for our community. What do you think? Because see, now I'm going to ask you, what do you think was the catalyst or the arc? What do you think helped you cross over that to being able to appreciate us fully and being in this space? Because it's, I feel like you said, I feel like society has a lot on the men that like us and on the relations for quite a while now. I can honestly say relationships ain't for the faint of heart, and I'm a trans woman, and so it's difficult. I can imagine that there would really wrap their head around, how do I show up in a world where I could be this, but also at the same time wanting to be in a place. I'm glad that you're having this moment, because to be encouraging more men to be like you. But my question for you is, what was the catalyst? How did you get from point A to point B?
So really, this is a turn from conservatism overall. Conservatism typically relies on very simple arguments and echo chambers that help insulate you from the realities of life. And truthfully, I got out of my bubble. Once I got out of my bubble and I started to see the world and meet people and learn what life really is for a lot of Americans, being glib and being non-empathetic, that just wasn't going to work anymore. And so essentially I just grew out of it. But then also, I guess what helped me turn the corner from disassociating that was, I have to be honest, I was lucky enough to have a friend. I was lucky enough to have a friend that said, you're comfortable in this dysfunctional place, and I'm going to push you to be better. I'm not going to let you half step it. I'm not going to let you get comfortable being sort of supportive, sort of open, sort of it. No, you got to go all the way. So I had a friend with his hand on my back, pushing me. He never let up. And, really, I know everybody doesn't have that. But, really, I guess at the end of the day, he without him, I would have never had the drive to want to be better, to want to grow as a person. And, I would have been stuck in my own bubble, thinking my same thoughts and not learning anything new. So, it's the lack of growth that a lot of these men, they're refusing to grow. They're refusing to take in new information. They're refusing to take in the realities of American life. Because, the way that conservatives stay conservative and the way that the maths for conservative, we're going with 1 + 1 = 2. But if you show up and say, well, 1.5 plus 0.5 equals 2 as well, now you're breaking my brain because it's too complicated. So, I used to listen to, the EIB network, Rush Limbaugh, all them people, Mark Levin, watch the Fox News, all of that stuff, and their arguments, the way they put things is very simple. But once you get past one level of argument, it all falls to pieces. So they rely on very simple premises, very simple facts. And, the world is a lot more complicated than that. And I didn't see that being in my own little bubble. I was sequestered. So, and that's why when there were some men in my group, and I'm just be real, all but one were white. One of them was Latin. But it's like I understand how some white people end up supporting Trump and supporting conservative ideals because they're in their bubble. Everybody in their bubble thinks that.
Well, now that you say the demographic, I'm not surprised because I could see how they can. There are some communities that can relate on a more empathetic, pure see themselves. I'm not surprised that white Trump supporters because at the end of the day,
no.
I'm just not surprised. I'm not surprised.
And I feel you on that, but I was one of those people. Because of my Christian gospel, because of my Church of God in Christ upbringing, it made it very easy for me to not be empathetic to other people's struggles. So to other people's lives, it was easy. We judged people because they drank. We judged people because they were gay. We judged people for being different, period. And those are people that we were taught to not associate with. I don't want to associate with you because you are unclean, you're unworthy, you're over here. I'm saved and sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit over here. And y'all is being sinful and worldly over there. We're not a part of that. That's what I was raised on. But I know that there are a lot of other denominations that believe the same. And they treat people in the same way. And that's why you see this American evangelical wing that's kind of like a partner piece to conservatism politically, and they both go together. They lock in and they move together. So it's just crazy. It's weird. It's like, dude, I'm gonna just get back to it. I'm gonna just be real. Like, dude, you beat your meat every night to trans women. You love women with penises. You love them. That is your everything. You would cream in your pants if one walked through the door into your bedroom magically. Like, it's just that. Like, these guys are seriously obsessed with trans women, but they are happy to support policies and candidates that are completely separate. And then the men who say they're open and they're allies and, well, no, I'm trans and I'm this and I'm that, but I still support Trump. No, you can't. You can't have both. You can't be an ally to the trans community. You can't be, you're even voting against your own self-interest, which we're going to explain later in this show. We have some clear examples of things that could happen to you, trans attracted man, if Trump wins. If Trump gets in office, it's going to be bad for all of us. But it blows my mind that these trans attracted guys, these trans amorous guys, these guys that say they're open, are openly supporting Trump and even, cussing people out over it. Like, it got nasty in the group. I'm going to just be real with you. Now, I'm not going to lie. We had to get rid of some people because they couldn't stay civil. But it was ugly. It's not good. Sorry, I had to get all that out.
That was quite a thing. Now, what is on in the comments?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the comments is jumping. They are jumping.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Ryan Roy from YouTube. Jules Ray Winfield from Facebook. What up, Doug? Shout out to Courtney. What up? The people is here. Shout out to Oni from YouTube. What up? What up, Roy? Roy on YouTube. What up, Shanette? Yeah, the comments is definitely jumping. So, I'm sorry. Now that we just really talked about that, it's just wild. And I want to briefly touch on just one other slight sort of aspect of this because I'm not going to lie, I have been absolutely floored by the support coming from within the trans community for Trump. I mean, I've seen stuff like it was these two white girls on Instagram. Now I ain't gonna lie, they both OnlyFans girls, whatever. And it was like, yo, we're trannies for Trump. We love Trump. And they're wearing their American like flag apparel and all that junk. And I'm like, huh? Now I knew that there was the Blair Whites of the world, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just more and more people coming out the woodwork. And it's like, dude, do you not understand? You are a member of an oppressed community and you are trans. You will never be cis. You will never be anything that this political party or these candidates find acceptable. You are what you are, but you're voting against your own best interest. It's ridiculous to me. I hate I'm not gonna say I hate them, but I hate to see people advocate for candidates that are not good for them. And that's the Blair Whites of the world. And I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. Some of the sisters, some of the Black trans women, is out there supporting Trump as well. And I'm like, you are a Black trans woman. Why are you supporting Donald Trump? Why do you think he's best for this country? And you can't talk him out of it. You cannot talk him out of it. And it's just wild to me. It don't make any sense. But we're going to get into why this is so bad. Because, Project 2025 is real. Project 2025 was written by former Trump staffers. It was funded by, was it the Heritage Foundation, which also sends money to Trump? Mm-hmm. So, Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025, but really it's his direct, like essentially he's not making up his own directives. They wrote it for him. Like, this is what you are going to do when you get in office, and this is what we expect of you. And let me get these things up because I really want, for the trans attracted men who disagree with me that are still watching, I love you. I'm glad you're here because we want to tell you about something. So we're just going to run through some bullet points real quick and help people understand why Project 2025 is so bad for the trans community. So here we go. Title page. Yeah, I know we got a double logo. I messed up. Yeah. But I'm going to read these out loud because we got people listening on audio that can't read the graphics. So, all right. So the first thing we're going to talk about that Project 2025 does is it strips away non-discrimination policy. This means discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity are back on the table. That not only harms the transgender community, but that also harms trans attracted men. This means, and let me see, bring this back up. Yeah. So realistically, this means that, we could be discriminated against based on our sexuality. Trans attracted men, we could be discriminated against based on our sexuality, based on our proximity to transgender women. We could be, we could be discriminated against by employers. We could lose our jobs and it will be completely legal. We could be denied housing because our girlfriend is transgender, or our girlfriend who doesn't even live there is transgender. They find out that you deal with transgender women and you're looked upon as if you're queer. You could be discriminated against. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I guess I'm amped up, but I should be less amped up because normally I do the show like fueled by caffeine. It's crazy. I know, this is nuts. But, this extends to a lot of businesses that can deny you service. They can deny you service, deny you entrance into their business because your partner is transgender, because you date trans women. It really does include us. We are here with them. And the discrimination, even if our transgender girlfriend wives aren't around, if people know that we date trans women, oh yeah, he messes with trans women, he likes those whatevers, and yeah, he's gay or he's queer or he's that. Yeah, I'm not gonna give him service. Yeah, I'm not gonna give him housing. Yeah, that's too weird. He can't work here. That's why being openly trans attracted but supporting Trump doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All of those discriminations apply to the girls, but it applies to us too. Now, I'm not going to lie. This stuff is already happening, and there is no Project 2025, where there is no president serving in the White House right now who's going to follow Project 2025, but it's already happening. There are already men losing their jobs because people found out that they date trans women.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be honest, I've had a similar situation once upon a time where it got out, and that played into me getting fired when the situation definitely didn't call for that. So it's already happening, and it's going to be worse. They're going to be able to be open. They're going to be able to be brazen about it. And there's nothing that you can do. Once Project 2025 goes into effect and they start repealing these discrimination laws, like we're screwed. We're screwed, and we have no legal recourse. None. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Project 2025 is the amount of government control that on the people is unprecedented. I think people aren't aware they are dismantling the Department of Education. They're also talking about bans of certain words like trans, like diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are words that are under. That a lot of the services that include these words. They're funding for trans initiatives. They're live in a world where those words are being used, then we are seeing a real not deceived. This is an the civil liberties that trans people have fought. Will eventually roll back the ability for even to have children. They are attacking in than just what people are perceiving as issues. That's our whole community, because this is the government taking over our bodies, how we move and how we engage with one another, taking control over our language. This is a totalitarian trying to them. That is not what America is. It's a free country. America is a country where we should be allowed to express ourselves. And the fact about trans people specifically, you should be really living in a world where there that are going to vote. If you vote for me, you will never have to vote again. We should be terrified, and that's the deeper point that I want to bring in here, because I feel like maybe if we just make it a people that will say, well, I don't really want to deal with that, or I can't really perceive that. Love democracy. If you call yourself an American, you're very alarmed in this moment. Government, this Trump civil liberties, and that's why to give the alternative. We should be voting for people who believe are going to allow us to continue to live. Look at the rhetoric, erase people's experience just by. I find it interesting how many folk of color are the narrative that they can't advocate. I just think, and it speaks to a color just spoke on is going to come for us all.
Absolutely. And I want to take a short break from Project 2025, because I'm sorry, we did talk about this and I didn't get to that point, but it is, sorry, y'all, we're going to go to Black Talk real quick. And, Black men, I've been hearing a lot from Black men, like, man, why are you going to vote for Kamala Harris? You don't know how many, she put thousands of Black men away. and she ain't even really one of us, and she was X, Y, and Z. Like they got all this stuff, and it's just like, dude, it's all you haven't done the research first off, because I actually did the research and found out that like, yeah, Kamala Harris got plenty of drug convictions, but only a couple of dozen guys actually went to jail for it. Yeah, she got the convictions, but most of those people didn't see jail. Like, so this whole locking up black men, I mean, a little bit, but come on now.
Actual statistic is that out of all of the people, all the people that were arrested, it was only 1,000 and so men that were even arrested. And out of those men, only 45, yes, 40. Kamala Harris was locking up all of these men. Is really what the enemy is using to put this information out there, and we got about thousands of black men for marijuana. That is, and I don't understand where it came, but we have to start dispelling the myths because again, it's
absolutely. And so now that we got that out, like it's kind of ridiculous how black men are trying to be independent thinkers, and we're not going to ride for Kamala. Well, I mean, your other alternative is Donald Trump, and that's not going to be good for any of us. So they already got rid of affirmative action, which is freaking crazy. I mean, who knows what's next? I don't know what's next. Maybe it's our guaranteed right to vote. Maybe we'll go back to being 3/5 of a person. I don't know.
You have people that don't have guardrails. When you have people that are weird, processing things from a place of logic for power, you have to really be interested. What I find interesting is how many rank and file Americans, particularly from attraction, something sexy about Trump. What he's saying, it's almost as if the inner villain in some of these men, this like Joker mentality of like burn the world down. The white male privilege that is not accessible like to black men, but this is the place that are going to set you back. So how silly do you look? A minority men, my Latin and black men that might be going the wrong way, to be voting for somebody that is actively trying to do things that are just to come, that are making it harder for people. How it's making the benefits of America. I just think that we need to really think forward. Also, even the rhetoric right now, like I just feel like it's divisive. It's child talking about. It's childish, and like you said, particularly how Trump's distance 5. I want to say really fast, for the actual book that's coming out. That's like this whole. Let's not be confused. They can only distance themselves. As a people, we got to be more intentional. And I just think it's interesting. Many men, I feel like I don't know, it's meant to wanting to feel powerful or misogyny. I'm gonna use those words people get, but and trans attracted trans amorous men, the power of it. What do you think?
I think that trans attracted men that support Donald Trump are they're just comfortable with their privilege. It's really like, hey, yeah, I'm fucking with y'all, but I mean, I could just walk away and live my life and be over here and not be affected by any of this. So it really is that detachment and that ability to just separate and just walk away. And it's like, yeah, this don't really affect me. Like, y'all are cool, but I'm going to go support this stuff that I feel like is in my best interest. And, I don't care what happens to y'all. Like, it is really privilege on some level that allows these guys to just kind of detach. But, it's a mess. There's a lot of people supporting it. But I do want to share these last 3 things. Because it's really this next point for the Project 2025 is like, it's wild. So, I mean, and this impacts everybody. It just does. So, oh, there we go. Sorry, took a while for it to come up. Project 2025 is going to restrict access to healthcare. It's going to eliminate transgender healthcare from Medicare and Medicaid. It gets rid of anti-discrimination rules based on gender identity that are already in the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. So essentially, again, doctors, pharmacists, people are going to be able to discriminate based on, they're going to be able to discriminate against the transgender community in healthcare. You know, right now it's illegal to discriminate based on gender identity in healthcare, but they're going to do it. And this is just opening up the floodgates for people to act a fool, to not offer care to the people that we love, the people that are our friends, you know, and our partners. And it's just like, you know, guys, you say you care about the transgender community, you love these women, X, Y, and Z. This thing is going to gravely affect their health care. And that is so huge. It's already a problem for the transgender community. It's going to be an even bigger problem. And really, we're rolling back the clock at this point. Now we're going to have people getting dangerous chemicals in their body because the doctors that they wanted to see won't give them the medicines that they need to, you know, to propel their transition. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words here. So it's just nuts that it's just we're going to roll back the clock. Things are going to get more dangerous, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for the girls. Not going to be good for us guys. Not going to be good for anyone involved. So it's just trouble all day, and it makes sense. It makes sense to understand that this is harmful. We should not be supporting this. If you say you're an ally, you should not support these changes to Obamacare that allows discrimination based on a gender identity. And so the next part that I want to touch on, I got one other part after this one, and I appreciate y'all that stayed on with us this long. It expands discrimination in the military. Transgender soldiers will be expelled from the military.
Wow.
Don't ask, don't tell will be reversed. We're not doing that no more. So, you know, I think that's the crazy part, because I'm for real. You know, my back ain't as great as it could be. You know, my health is not. I'm not trying to fight no wars. Let them fight. If they want to fight, let them. I'm just saying, we got people volunteering for it, and y'all saying no because they trans. Stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah,
That don't make any kind of sense.
We are getting to the place where we are in the government. We cannot be. We will Russia. We will become the dictators that Trump actually props up. I'm in this moment. I feel the men that at a moment. I want you to actually. One of the things reasons why I asked what was a catalyst for him, and this was doubling back to the conversation to be able to really and connect to this community authentically. What I heard is that it requires that you actually have side of the physical for people in this. Chris is a friend of mine. Purely a friend to me and my husband. Friendships and connections with trans people are not them and what they are, what are sexually. And I feel like I need to speak to some brothers out there or some men out there that are supporting for us, the trans supported brotherly. I need to speak to you and say, developing real, authentic connections with trans women that are not connected to what you can get from them, not what they look like, not how passive they are, but because we are some beautiful spirit energies. I challenge my brother all the time. We don't be eye to eye, but we have a relationship. That, and I feel like I have several relationships with men and human, but I also understand that is a lot of men respecting them for who they are as human beings. And so what I want to connect unity. If you don't, because a lot of it is you just don't even know how to relate to us. You don't know what our because you are only engaging with us in a way. Really say you give a damn about us, even just a little bit. You beyond the physical, move beyond the flesh, move beyond lust, that attraction, that porn that you watch. Actually see that we're human beings. You want to real connect with us because we are some beautiful spirits, and y'all missing out on that. Can't get beyond the physical, and so that's the piece that I feel like is the work of trying to authentically and build equity with it up for us when we're at a rally, and not just being even because we need brothers that we constantly need brothers that can be our security. You don't have to really detail by himself sometimes with other members in community because it's not enough brothers there to provide security and support us, but y'all are so busy trying to just engage with that you can bring your pockets to the table. You bring $250 to the table, pay for one of these rallies and events. Like support us. Like we are still human beings, and all of this advocacy we're doing is for you too. And I need y'all to know that. Like connect with us, engage with us, believe in us, because we and you we trying to. That's
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really the step out of and I hate using this word, especially on my channel. I mean that's that's when you move out of the chaser mentality.
yes.
You move into humanizing the women in community, and when you said that, it brought up a conversation I had with another friend where she was involved in this long situationship with this guy, and she was like, I felt like I just spent the last 7 years of my life just teaching this man how to humanize me. They had been together, they had been dealing with each other for so long, and he is just like that's what she was training him to do over the course of 7 years. Because even the men that engage with the girls just don't humanize them. It's crazy. We got a third member of the panel coming on, and as soon as I bring him on, we're gonna jump to the next Project 2025 point. But it's my main man, Ray. What's going on, Ray? Oh, we can't hear you, bro. Nah, your mic must be muted or something. Here we go. No, we can't. We still cannot hear you. But I guess I'll just jump to the next point then. So really, the next thing that Project 2025 does for the conversation is it alters educational policy across the nation. So schools will now be forced to use pronouns for students that align with their sex assigned at birth, and it also removes any lessons about LGBTQ inclusivity from school curriculums, which is really disheartening for me because I know how important it is that we teach the youth better, that we try to make the future better than the world that was handed to us. And we do that by teaching these kids better than we were taught, giving them more information, giving them lessons and making them more comfortable with people that are different than they are, preparing them for the world, because the world is full of people that are different, and we have to, our children need to know how to navigate these situations, relationships, and do so in a way that isn't bigoted and small-minded, like generations before, like my generation, which, I hate. Millennials, we were supposed to be better and we weren't. We were just as bad as the ones that came before, frankly. But now you have kids in school where their gender identity cannot be respected, even if the teachers want to respect the child's gender identity, can't be respected. And I don't know. I think that's crazy. I think it's going to have a very negative impact on the future of America. Because our kids are the future. It's a cliche, but it's true. So I'll hand it off to you, sis. If you had any thoughts on that educational twist, I know you talked about the Department of Education previously.
I want to say I think we need to be very being clear and how they're really trying to unpack the way the next generation will. What we saw, what they saw real time. It went from being trans folks being transvestites and people that to be pushed down, minimized. And I remember crimes against nature when they would arrest trans folk for wearing not a certain amount of male clothes on. Like there was, we came from that. All time, people watched it get all the way to. We're seeing these people, moving into our. We're seeing these people showing at our jobs. Now they're my, they're owning companies and they're making moves. And there are a lot of winning that somehow that means that they're losing. And so the is that we are now watching the try to erase our story, erase the work. Next generation won't even see it. So how do you affect the next generation? You attack their education, youngest age possible, and then you make sure that it can't even be mentioned in school. And then you take any books in schools that could empower them to think any differently about themselves than how we want them. Then as they grow up in school, we teaching them even the fullness on the history timeline that they're walking around with, particularly for brown and black folks. They'll be just like they're erasing the LGBT experience. And if they dismantle the Department of Education, they're going to do. They're going to privatize it. They've done the prisons, i.e. the prison industrial complex. If there is no Department of Education size, then that allows the states to then educate their students. Be ye not deceived. There's a lot in this moment. And I feel like the educational piece should really be the terrifying part, because that's the part that can unravel the mentality of a generation. Look at these babies now, these babies that have had the these new Gen Z, these are the most liberal people ever, because they will be able to be free. And you know what's happening? They are tired of their kids coming home with and saying no more, and it's messing with them, trying to erase the way the progress that we made. We want now the next generation to what we've done, and that's what we have to remember. It's about protecting our history.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hey, no, Angel,
yeah, my bad. Yeah, what's going on, Ray? Thanks for
I
joining
just
us,
had
man.
to let you have that space, but you're absolutely right. And I want to say, here from Texas specifically, we are ground zero for trans discrimination. As a matter of fact, I want to tell a story. In the last election, I was working on a campaign for a candidate who was a Democrat, and the reason she was running for office because she was running against another Democrat in the primary, and this Democrat in the primary was already an established incumbent, but she, because of her morals, decided to vote along with the governor, who is staunchly anti-trans, anti-anything that's not old white man, quite frankly. And she went on to vote on a bill to ban books because they were, affirming gender identity. And so that was a hard fought race, because typically when people vote, it's, first of all, I'm an activist for some of y'all that I don't know. So, I'm very involved in the electoral policy and electoral politics. So this one lady, she was, a staunch Christian, um, and she felt that it was her moral duty to vote with the Republican governor, even though in Texas we have a minority of Democrats. So even if she felt that way, she could have still voted with her party and kept that shit quiet. But her discrimination was so deep that she sided with the Republicans when it wasn't even politically expedient, and she lost her seat.
Wow.
So when all y'all talking about, I've been listening. I just got off work actually. I've been listening, actually expounding on a lot of things, and mainly the thing is, it's not just gonna affect the people that you think it's gonna affect. See, I always tell people, and I get really upset and passionate about it, because it's like you're not gonna notice what it is on day one. You're gonna notice a few months down the line, you're gonna start losing shit. And when you start losing shit, at that point, it's too late. It's like when you're dehydrated. If you already thirsty and your skin is dry, it's too late. You need to hydrate before you get to that point. And that's what this democracy is about. We want to hydrate this democracy to make sure we don't run out of options. I know a lot of black men feel about Kamala that she's locked up people. A lot of that to me is it's stoked in misogyny. It's stoked in men just not wanting to listen to a woman. But I ask this simple question: do you not have a mother? Do you not have an auntie, a grandma? How many black men have been raised? I could speak for myself, under a matriarchy where the grandmother is the manager of the family. So if you trust your grandmother to be the manager of your family, why can't you trust a woman to be the president of your country? I'm just saying, a lot of these conversations are asinine and nonsensical, and they piss me off to the highest. Angel, I'm glad you got to get on and speak from the trans woman perspective. And just I'm gonna touch on that real quick. I was part of that group of men that was against those men. I say, look, being openly trans attracted to me isn't anything I feel I need to be pat on the back for. It was literally, I'm too lazy to be down. I'm too lazy to live two lives. That's too much energy for me. And another thing, when it comes to support, I don't know if I'm ready for the relationship aspect of it. However, like you said, there's other ways you can show support to the community. One of the ways that I'm very supportive is making sure that I support political candidates who are for the community, and definitely doing my damnedest to get rid of those who are not. That's as deep as it goes. As far as when I tell you I'm trans attracted, that means I care about your life. Your life has value to me, and you don't have to worry about that, even if we're not getting along. Those are my two promises as a trans attracted man. Anything above that,
And can you add that you won't vote against our best interests? I feel like, because if you're going to say that if you're going to take that mantle, you have to at least be able to commit to say, I would say that, and I don't want to put that, but you need to at least say against your best interests. Like
yeah.
us and to vote against us, it's just defeating it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, basically, I want to support people. And the thing about it that we have to understand, a lot of black people are not supporting Trump. A lot of black people just are reluctant to support Kamala. And the thing about it is, like, I listen to a lot of Roland Martin, and the couch is a real option for some people. When they talk about independent voters, they're talking about those lazy motherfuckers that don't want to get up and go push the button. That's who they are. Well, look, that's just my person. I'm not filtered when I say what I say.
Yeah, I got you. I have to be honest with you guys. Since we've kind of shifted straight to Kamala Harris, I'm doing the best I can not to get swept up in emotion, because I'm just very wary of that. I don't want to get swept up in the emotion of it. I will vote for Kamala Harris, because a vote for her is a vote against Trump. But I'm definitely not going to get caught up in the hype of like, oh my gosh, she's the greatest. Hey, right, in the emotion and all that hype. I'm just not the person for it. I did it once in 2008, and I wasn't like that in 2012. And I don't think I'll ever be like that again. I just don't think I'll ever be somebody who's swept up in the hype of it all and in the emotion of it. But she is the best option. She is the person we need to show up and vote for. If you're not registered, figure out a way to get yourself registered to vote. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying for me as a voter, I'm just not interested in the hype and the excitement and oh my God, Kamala, if you don't support Kamala, I'm like, okay, well, we need to vote for it because obviously that's the best option. Like there is no way around that. But I went on Zoom, that they had for supporters and all that stuff. Like I do it all. I'm just never gonna be. I'm just not gonna. I don't want to get caught up and swept away in emotion and lose my intellectual side in it. Like some people do, it turns into a fanaticism, a fandom for some people. And I mean, look, if it gets them to vote that way, great. But that kind of attitude thinking is how we ended up with half the country voting for Trump. Trump is a rock star to these people. He's somebody for them to believe in. And I understand that, we need people as fired up about Kamala as they are about Trump. That's true. Because that will get the people who don't normally vote to vote. But, I'm just being real. That's where I'm at with it. So, I'm gonna vote for her. She got my vote. I'm gonna tell everybody else to vote for her. But it's really more of a like, okay, well, we just need to keep this train moving progressively and not roll back down the hill because that's what's going to happen with Trump. The train is going to lose traction and we're just going to slide back. And it's going to take twice as long to climb back up that hill and repeal those laws.
I think that's the piece for me. It's ultimately to make sure that we're voting to make sure we're protecting our democracy. I think that we'll all have our opinions about candidates. I don't think that any side is inherently just wrong or the side that's trying to vote against democracy.
That part.
People that are probably watching this that are probably ill. But that's how you feel about me as a human being. We all are under the same government. We all have to apply to the same laws. And the same laws that want to erase me want to take away your ability to have children. They want to take away your ability to do what you want with your bodies. They want to take away your ability to have reproductive health. They want to take away your ability to have civil liberties and rights. They want to take away your ability to have inclusion. Those things will affect you too. You feel about me individually, specifically the lioness. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we all have to be smart and vote for democracy and to vote for what. Think about that next generation and trying to take down the Department of Education. That will push the narrative forward, and that's my.
I mean, you said it right. Basically, it's like this. I don't give a fuck about Kamala Harris as a person. I don't care who she married. I don't really care too much about her background. I'm not looking backwards when I'm judging Kamala Harris. What I'm looking at is two visions. Fuck the people. Two visions of America going forward. One person has promised they will preserve democracy. And the chance that if you don't like who is elected in 4 years, you can change that. But we have another person who says, hey, vote for me in 4 years. You won't have to worry again. It'll be fixed. A dictator.
It's a dictator. You're right.
It is.
Basically, he's saying, oh, in 4 years, we just going to cancel the election. And we don't need that no more, y'all. We got who we wanted. That's it. We're going to have a government that's installed full of corporate cronies and an oligarchy. If y'all don't know what that word is, look it up. Where a bunch of rich motherfuckers who don't have any of our best interests in mind are going to say, hey, I don't agree with that. Let's make a law on that. Let's make those people, go away. I don't like them anymore. See, they want to be able to legislate people like you, Angel, out of existence. They want to make us go away. They want to push us back to Jim Crow days where if you look at a white person, a wrong way, you know. And for those people that you talked about earlier, Chris, I think it's quite interesting, you know. And I'm gonna just say this, you know, it's quite interesting. I know people that support Trump but would be directly impacted by it, specifically trans women. And I'm like, if you work in sex work, what are you gonna do when sex work is illegal? Hello, you thinking about, oh, I made so much money when Trump was president the last time. I'ma just roll through this shit. Bit. I'm sorry. Let me censor myself. But that's
Yeah,
how I
we
feel.
don't
Like,
say that word here. We don't do
like
that.
you cannot. I mean, you cannot realistically look at yourself and say, I'm gonna be all right when Trump is president again. If
Hmm.
you know, if you have any knowledge, if you have any clue, it's about two visions. I'm not looking at the people. I'm looking at the visions. Trump's
Yeah,
vision, like you say, is going to take us on a train to hell. I don't know what Kamala's vision is, but I'm willing to work to get it to where I want it to be. At least you know when you vote for Kamala or you vote for a Democrat, if you have progressive values, you know you have a fighting chance to get some of those values through. If you have a conservative or reactionary like Trump that's in office, all that shit, they just gonna go in there and they gonna close the door. They don't want to hear from nobody. You ain't
yeah.
got some money for them or a contract or something
Mhm.
transactional that they can deal with. They don't want to hear from you. Period.
Well, Ray, I think we need to be realistic with where we're already at, and
Mm.
we're already there when it comes
Yeah.
to people loyal to corporations, the corporations themselves writing laws. They do that already. They get together in secret rooms, they write laws, they vote on them, and then they take them straight to Congress and they pass. If you haven't, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. There's
No.
actual like investigative local journalism on these secret meetings that have been had at hotels around the country. Actually, there was one a piece on it from 11 Alive in Atlanta where they actually tried to break in. They tried to talk to the people who were there. These groups, and it's all obvious. It's some lawmakers. It's and these people pay for the lawmakers to come here and eat and stay and all this stuff so they can pretty much write policy, pass it in their little secret room, and then the lawmakers just take it straight to Congress. I'm just saying, dude, like the oligarchy or whatever it's already here. It's already here. The corporations are already winning. The corporations already rule, and that's why the Democratic Party is really the change has been so slow with them. The progress has been very slow with them. We're already there. They can't
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can't
I'm
piss off
just
their corporate donors. The corporations donate. They play both sides because they're smart. They're not stupid people. They didn't get rich by being dumb. They know how to play it. So I mean, we're already there. But I'm sorry. What are they saying? Oh, but actually, I think you brought up one thing that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. Was that sex work could really be gravely impacted by the Trump administration? I know. I mean, you think about OnlyFans. Look, what they're already doing, what Republicans are already doing with sites like Pornhub and all these different porn sites, they're already blocking them off in their state. What would happen if a state like Texas blocked OnlyFans? That's one of the most populated states in the country. It's got both the fourth and the fifth largest city in the country in it. Like, one of the world's largest, economies is Texas. So I didn't even think about that. That really is something for a lot of people to be alarmed about. I'm not alarmed about it because, you know, I'm not.
it's in the
I don't make
manifesto
fans, but
banning porn.
it is. But you know what? Hey, it's the internet. Porn will find a way. It just is what it is.
It will find a
But
way, but there'll be barriers.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But we're getting to the end of this thing. But I want to hit these quick excerpts before we go. So I have some excerpts directly from Project 2025. Sorry, directly from there. And when you read these excerpts, it's going to be quite alarming. Anybody who's like, well, it isn't that bad. It isn't going to be. No, this is what they wrote in there. Okay. They said this Project 2025 says transgender people are an ideology and their existence is linked to pornography and the sexualization of children. This is their doctrine. This is what they believe. This is what they will push. And this is what will dictate policy for Project 2025 and beyond. It's an ideology. They're bent on sexualizing our children. And I'm gonna just go to the second one. Children suffer from the toxic normalization of transgenderism with drag queens and pornography invading their school libraries. Is that real? I don't know who they're expecting to believe that that's actually happening. But to Samaya's point, I think we were talking about the education, it's the kids changing and saying, hey, I remember, because I visited home recently and, we watched church on YouTube and I sit with my mom and I'll watch with her. And, the pastor was like, well, my granddaughter was looking at the character on TV and was like, I don't know if that's a he or a she or whatever. And he was like, our children are confused. They're doing this, they're doing that. And I'm like, well, just because your grandchild was taught to respect people's pronouns, respect people's gender identity, doesn't mean they're confused. Exactly. Like, I don't understand how that's a problem.
Somebody said, people that, and I heard this is actually a good point. I've heard rednecks, gender their truck like, oh, she treats me so good. She takes care of me and I take care of her. But you can't give a gender to a person.
Mm-hmm.
You can gender your favorite phone, but you won't gender a person based on their identity. And it just goes to show how arbitrary gender can be and how we attach all of these feelings and stuff around it sometimes when it's not even that deep. Like at the end of the day, I feel like I want people to understand is you don't really know what's between nobody's legs anyway. Yep. The only thing you can go off of is what they're telling you. So don't go being an asshole, period. And that's just where I'm going to say it. Just don't be nice to people and call them what they want to be fucking called. Like, let's not overthink this. Because part of the problem is people feel like they have to agree with your whole background. You got to know, you got to see the certificate. You got to actually check for, like in the grocery store, no one's cared. No one cares, boo. And nobody's thinking about you. I'm just trying to buy some groceries just like you. So then at the end, what does it matter that you know what's between my legs? I feel like that's be able to stop focusing on and stop focusing on gender specifically as you trying to know what somebody is. Respect people for what they say they are. That's it. That's the ultimate thing. You learn that at like 5, the golden rule. That's it. Just respect people. Ultimate. I don't even think I've never heard a trans person. I want more rights. Trans people saying this. Stop and stop playing in our face and just call me what I say. I feel like that's the bare minimum of human respect.
Absolutely. And
period.
Completely co-sign. I do need to answer this one question because Ray, one of your friends, is a little bit confused right now. Yes, I am voting for Harris. The title of the show is we're talking about trans attracted men who are voting for Donald Trump, who want to support Donald Trump, even though they say they're allies and they love the girls and they love this community. And, obviously we don't believe that BS. We don't believe that BS, and that line is not valid here. I got one more excerpt here.
I just want to add, Janina, that
okay.
I just wanted to add, I was part of that conversation, and yeah, if they are Trump supporters and they're in our community, they have been cast out. They don't have a safe space here.
Exactly. There you go. We don't play that. Homie, don't play that. So let's see. Okay, so they say Project 2025 says education texts related to race, gender, and LGBTQ identities are noxious tenets. Just had to throw that one in there because they added so many other things that are just they say it's bad for the kids. It's noxious. These are noxious tenants, really. So they don't want educational texts about race, about gender, about LGBTQ identities, and really the gender part about it as well. I mean, that includes just regular old white feminism. And that truly surprises me, when you look at the voting numbers, and almost half of white women voted for Trump last election. And it's just like, so 45% voting, like 45% of them voted for Trump.
I want to say this,
But
I think the difference between this time is last time.
Oh, I mean,
I believe that white women are confused enough to believe that they were going to be able, them and their white husbands will be given to success. And then now, and all this conservative mentality and this fringe taking over the Republican Party, now white women find themselves on the ballot. Your body, your uterus is on the ballot, sis. Right. Your uterus is on the ballot. And at the last time and this time, and I feel like that's going to be the turn in the girl. Ask yourself that. Do you want her to have to carry the child or the person that is, or the family member that's abusing her? That. And I feel like in the previous election there, because Roe v. Wade hadn't yet been turned over. Now you got Trump and his agenda and the people that he put in the Congress, taking away the right for your daughter to be a citizen. They're going to realign, because at the end of the day,
all right, hey, all I can say is we'll see. We'll see. I hope that people wake up and have a new awakening and vote in their best interest. But it's a bit. I'm more of a I'm a believe it when I see it kind of person. I will believe it when I see it. Now, I got to answer a couple questions here, and then we're gonna shut this thing on down. So so Ryan on YouTube, said, yeah, you men in general definitely don't gatekeep. Who isn't in the community of trans attracted men? In general, that is true, but we're speaking more as in my men's only group on Facebook, which is one of the only spaces for trans attracted men to congregate. So in my group that I run, that I control, we don't make space for men who say they are attracted to trans women, they're allies, whatever else, but they support Trump. They support Project 2025. I don't provide space for that at all. Now, can you be somebody who voted for Trump in the past and show up later on after this election? Sure. You know what was done is done. But right now, this ain't the time. Either just be silent or leave. I mean, that's all I got for you. I can't make space for this.
That's allyship.
So, I mean, that's what it is. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean you can't ever join our group ever again. Hit us up later on. But this just we're in a different time right now. We need to be focused on supporting the girls, and that is going to continue even after the election. We're still going to be pushing guys to show up to the rallies after girls get killed. We're still going to be pushing guys to show up to demonstrations in their own city, to Pride, to get involved in nonprofits. All these things matter, and all these things are things that men who are attracted to trans women should be doing. This is how we move things forward. This is how we play our part. Our part is not to just sit on the sidelines and engage with women sexually and just like hang out. That's not it. So I know I went beyond the scope of the question, Ryan, and and I appreciate that we're on the same page that Project 2025 is not good. But wait, is that? And then Janina, we did cover this earlier. We did talk about the YouTube girls and some of the OnlyFans girls who were supporting Trump, and it is a circus. It is a complete circus. But what I think is positive about this is that people can learn that the trans community is a community of individuals. They're not a monolith, and a lot of different girls see things in a lot of different ways. So when you talk about the trans community, and it's not one entity itself that everybody sees things exactly this way, everybody moves this way. No, a lot of people see things very differently. And men, this is important for you to realize, especially when you hear from different trans women like, hey, I believe X, Y, and Z, or I think men are this, or I think the girls should be this, or a trans woman should be that, or all of this is their own personal thoughts. And I promise you, there are other people who think differently. No one person is going to speak for the entire community. So it is a diverse community, diverse in thought. Like, definitely understand that. Let that bake in. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought Ray was about to jump in. But, really, y'all,
I
we
do have something to say.
definitely went. I'm sorry, what?
I do have something to say real quick.
All
Just
right.
think
Well,
about
hold
it
on,
like
man.
this.
I'm a Ray, I'm gonna let you get this one in, and then we are going to wrap this show up.
Perfect. This is my wrap up.
All right.
Remember this: World War II. America sided with their enemy, the communists, to defeat Hitler. Okay? America hated communism. I want y'all to understand this. But we had to come together in what we call a united front. That's why they called it a world war. So right now, we might not all agree on everything, but we need to agree on one thing. Trump is a dangerous motherfucker that does not need to be handed the keys to the Rover truck. I'm done.
My man. Keys to the Rover truck.
Can I do a rap as well?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to say thank you for having me, first of all, Chris. I really appreciate you. And I thank you for actually demonstrating what ally looks like, because it does look like holding the line on what you're going to allow around in your space. For those of you who are listening, who are wondering, how can I get involved if you're not in this country? Because, Crispy International, So hopefully that those engaged connect to some dope trans. We are doing great work. It's a lot of in politics. We're actually doing work for women violence. We're actually doing work to make sure that the next generation is actually living a better. Some of the things that you think are just trans issues are just to the sound of my voice that want to connect. Find some dope trans leaders in and figure out what they're doing, because usually quiet as it's kept with trendsetters anyway, darling. The trend, the new thing is supporting Black trans leaders going to push forth things that are going to change. And while there's a lot of negative opinions about it, a lot of the negative opinions, like the women I hang with, the people working in human beings that are just trying to live and want to leave how we came. I believe that to whom much is given, much is required. Have privilege and privilege of all kinds, class privilege. For those of us that have privileges, to go and try to use what we have to get to where we are.
Absolutely. Completely co-signed. That was amazing. Thank you for blessing us with those last words. And I don't have anything profound like that to say. I think my two guests here laid it all out for everybody. So I will thank both of y'all for giving me and the audience your time. And if you're out there, and you're looking for a community, by all means, join the Men Like Us tribe. It's a Facebook group, men only. We only allow men in the group. It's a safe space for men to get together and share our experiences about life, a little bit of politics, as we talked about, but it really isn't a political group for the most part. We are sharing our experiences. We are supporting each other. We are sharing our struggles in this group. So definitely on Facebook, it's the Men Like Us tribe. Join it. And, if you haven't already and you're listening to us on audio platforms, definitely give this podcast 5 stars. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the podcast, not podcast, the channel. And if you're watching on Facebook, definitely share this live. Share it with your friends. Guys, you got other guys that are tripping about this stuff. Share it with them. Girls, you need share it to some of the other girls, and maybe they'll share it to their guys, because there's a lot of men that's messed up out here when it comes to this stuff, and they don't have the right mindset. So we just trying to help educate people. We trying to help people understand what's really at stake in this election. So with that, I'm out. Thank y'all. We're gonna